Right, welcome back to another video on how to do a cost of supply study. This video is going to concentrate on commercial inputs. So there's two tabs that are commercial inputs tabs. There's the commercial inputs year 0 and then commercial inputs years 1 to 4. So starting with the commercial inputs year 0, this tab is basically looking at all of the energy that you sold to customers in your municipality. And it looks at the kilowatt hours as well as the number of customers that you have in each customer category. You'll notice that there's a lot of blank cells at the moment. In order to make these yellow, and I mentioned it in the index tables video, you would go over to the index tables, and if you have monthly data available for every customer category, you could change that to true. And then if you wanted to make this time of use true as well, you'll see how that affects your commercial inputs, makes all of that yellow. But because in most cases, municipalities don't have this level of granular data, the tool does cater for that as well. So I'm going to make those false again, come back to the commercial inputs, and you can see we've put these inputs in to remind you. If you scroll over to the right, you can use your totals for the whole year and just input them like that. And this comes from your D form. So I'm going to show you how that works. If I go to the D form here and we look at this tab market, for the financial inputs, we were looking at the statement of financial performance. For the commercial inputs, we look at this tab called the market. And here we can see the annual kilowatt hours sold per customer category. So you can see here, domestic prepaid. I'm going to copy that and paste it in there. Brilliant. You can do that for every customer category. And then once you've done that, you come down to the bottom here, row 149. And then what you do is you look in the D forms and you look at the number of customers and you copy that across as well. And you paste it in, just like that. The years work the same way as they did in the financial inputs. So year 0 corresponds in our example here with year 23-24, and that is the actual year in this D form. The budget year is year 1, so we'll go into that in just a minute. One thing to look out for here when you're doing the number of customers and the sales of kilowatt hours is to look at the total. Once you've inputted all of this data in, what you might find is that you've overcounted. And what sometimes happens is the FBE customers are counted twice. So if that is the case, you may need to subtract the number of FBE customers from the domestic prepaid category. So just look out for that if that's the case. If you find that your total is higher than the total here, it might mean that you've counted this FBE category twice. So yes, as I mentioned, double check these totals, make sure that your tool matches the D form in terms of the total as well. Once you've done year 0, you can click across to commercial inputs years 1 to 4, and you do the exact same thing again. You take from the D form the number of kilowatt hours per customer category and you paste it in here. So in our example, we're going to copy that across. And then for year 2, the year that we're designing the tariffs for, you can estimate how much your kilowatt hour sales are going to grow. In many cases, they might actually be in decline because customers are either using more efficient appliances or they've installed solar. So there's a number of reasons why the estimates might not increase. So be very careful. If you say that they're going to increase by 5%, that means that the tool is going to assume that your sales in year 2 are higher than they might actually be, and that might throw out your end tariff design. So try and be quite conservative with these values. Don't expect to have a big year and sell or increase your sales by 10%. So I'm going to just leave it at 0% in this case. Once you've done that for every customer category, you come down to the number of customers, and again, you take the number of customers, you paste it in, and then you say how much it's going to increase by or decrease. You might happen to know that some customers are going to change from, say, conventional to prepaid. In that case, you can say this is going to decrease by 5% and this is going to increase by 5%. That sort of insight is allowed as well. In this example, you can see this municipality doesn't have agricultural or mining customers, and that's perfectly acceptable. You can just leave those categories blank and the model won't calculate them at all. So once you've done year 0 and then years 1 to 4, you are done with the commercial inputs and you can move on to the next step.